Entonces, hello. I wanted to record the tier list because last time you guys really liked the tier list, and I wanted to talk about FB07 because this is probably the best meta we've ever had. I will say that first of all, I think these are like the decks that we should be talking about. Right now, I don't think I'm missing anything that is particularly strong or something that people want to see. Maybe Golden Freezer, but spoiler alert, if I forgot about him at the start, it's because I don't consider him really good. So these are like the decks that are prevalent. You could argue Broly is not there, but I wanted to put as many leaders as possible in the tier list. So I wanted to talk about this meta because this meta actually it's high key the best we've ever had in Fusion World. I know some people really like the top Q mirrors, myself I included. I really thought top Q mirrors really brought a lot of skill expression in the game. But I think having more than one leader and also the meta being good, it's way more important than just the tier 0 meta while being awesome to play as the mirror. And it also lets casuals and other people that really don't like playing the same decks as everyone else more opportunities to actually enjoy the game. So, let's start with the first thing first. These were like the two decks before the meta started in FB07. This was our meta for manga. The tier list looked like this. For a long time, we really thought Cell was the second best. Now that the community overall optimized Cell and the Cell play, you could easily tell that Cell was the best deck in the game. So he was the deck to beat, and you had Giblet like here, decent matchup into both, like Majin Buu over here. He was good against the other Buu, but the problem is that he was worse against Cell. You had Broly, like B tier maybe. Bulma was trash. This was non-existent and non-existent. And this was meme tier. So this is where we started, basically. So what happened? Okay, these two decks came out. And Shenron too. So let's start from okay, so these are the four decks that came out. Glorio 2, but basically Glorio, it's not relevant for meta purposes. He was cute, but he's not strong enough. So, what happened? 2 out of 5 are extremely good. Like, these two decks have brought the power level of the game to a new standard. You could argue maybe Cell did that. Majin Buu is just a bunch of annoying effects, but the Majin Buu cards are not really like in paper as strong as Cell are, because most of the Cell cards are 10Ks that are also drawing two cards. So the power level was really high for the Cell deck, and that's what ended up hurting Majin Buu in the long run. He had a lot of good resources like 4 cost Boo, which is an annoying card. And as I mentioned in some forums, maybe the Discord if you're there, or sometimes in Facebook, I myself won the regional with Majin Buu. But as a blue main for the 90% of the history of this game, I didn't think 4 cost Buu was that strong. It's just the fact that we were missing good removal in the game. Because, as most people know, KO is the worst removal in the game. So being not you not being able to KO Boo wasn't that strong, but the fact that the whole meta didn't have a lot of ways to get rid of him without KOing him made the card look stronger than it actually is. Like it was because of the meta around it that the card felt that oppressive. We also got the Babidi, which is complete nonsense. I don't know why that card has barrier, why it was printed. Crit Boo is also completely insane. But anyways, so what happened? Okay, so my honest thoughts are basically this. The four decks in at the top are running the game at the moment. These are like the great four. So it's been a while in this game since we've had the opportunity to play more than two decks at the top. And much more, four different colors. Like basically the every color in the game is represented by one deck, and you have black, which is not that bad, but we'll talk about that later. We are now focusing on the four best decks in the game, which are these four. So, how do they fare against each other? If I'm honest, I really think the tier list should look something like this. Omega is probably the best deck in the game at the moment. You could even argue that this is the tier list now. And I actually think this is the tier list now. Omega is just really, really good against Boo and Cell in particular. Omega counters a specific type of deck, a specific type of gameplay that these two decks are pushing. Like, Omega can really defend kind of easily against big hard hitting decks that are not spamming the board. So basically 5 plus 4, double strike plus 4 cost Boo, or the cell chain. Those two are 3-4 swings per turn while not being like they are swings that are over 30k sometimes. Like Boo is going to swing 30, 35, 20, and he can just recycle the cards that he defends 30 with and just basically take one card out of his hand to defend the leader swing. And he also awakens at 6, so he gets to do this really early. Like against Cell, he can defend against the whole chain really easily. Cell has to be really cautious of their cell chain. If you can do like the cell chain on turn 4, you have outside on your board a 1 cost 18, you have to not swing with it. Because if you swing with the 4 cost with no energies open and an 18 on the board, a 1 cost 18, they will go to bottom deck. So you lose one swing. So this deck hard counters the things that these decks want to do. I think Majin Buu has a decent matchup against Omega. It's not like 70-30, 80-20, but I think Omega is probably better into Cell than Omega into Buu. I think the tools that Buu has are really easily countered by Omega, but changing your gameplay in Buu will give out way more problems to Omega than Cell trying to adapt to what Omega is doing. So, I think the tier list looks like this for now. These four decks have really good matchups into each other. Like when I'm talking about Omega being good against Cell, it's probably like a 55-44, 45, sorry, matchup. It's not like extremely favored in one side. I think all of these four decks can win against each other if your gameplay is good and you of course don't brick. But in this game it's really hard to brick. The most bricky out of the four here are Piccolo and Omega, but it's kind of easy to unbrick yourself with Omega. With Piccolo, it's a bit harder. Like if you don't see your ramp, your deck becomes significantly worse, but you can search basically anything in your deck thanks to Pan, and your leader skill really gives you a lot of safety. So it's not like the end of the world. Like if androids didn't ramp, they had a really tough time matching up. In the case of Piccolo, he can still survive a bit with his ability. He searches both super combos and the big drops, so you're never going to miss them if you search enough. Androids couldn't search Broly. They could search Cell, but Cell was worse than Broly, not significantly worse, but worse than Broly. and also deramped you. This is just a big boss monster for 3. Mr. Beast Gohan is just an insane card that is basically carrying this whole deck in its back. I really think Piccolo is you just need a Gammas and this guy, and you will probably be set for the whole match because you start to bump out those energy numbers and you can start spamming your beast hands, which are 3 cost. This card is basically a 3 cost 50, remove anything. It's very strong. I think uh, Piccolo, it's a bit weird because I've seen some people running stuff like Android 18. I've seen where's the guy? Piccolo, yeah. All of these Piccolos, I really don't like any of them. I've seen people saying this is good on the mirror. I don't know. I'm not a ramp player myself, but I could see it. But I still think I don't know if it's worth enough the spot. This card is crazy. I wanted to talk about this card. Yeah, I wanted to search for it. Krillin. Krillin is one of the reasons why Piccolo is so strong. Like all of these decks have their game plans around their 5 costs. Like Omega wants to play Omega, the SR version as fast as possible, and mill himself out so he can start stacking and looping the same extras. Cell wants to do the 4 cost chain and end in their 5 cost rare. Majin Buu normally wants to do double strike into something else, so this it gives a lot of survivability to Piccolo, and he's Earthling, so we all know he can just loop it with Hercule. So, what's my reasoning behind these placements? Now that I've talked a bit about these decks. So, Omega. Omega has, as I mentioned just now, a good matchup into Cell, a good matchup into Buu. I think Omega is the exception also because most of these guys can beat each other, as I mentioned. But Omega versus Piccolo is particularly really unfavored in comparison to any other deck. I will say it's like 70-30 maybe, not 90-10 or 80-20. You can still with Omega, you can still do it, but Piccolo has more than enough tools to kind of stop Omega. If you both, Omega and Piccolo, see your curves, if you see all the cards you want to see, if you have like a normal match where no one bricks, I think Piccolo should come on top maybe 8 times out of 10 or 7 times out of 10. If we are talking about a hypothetical world where both players are equally as good, yeah, it's probably 7 times out of 10. Cell. Cell, he should be here, if I'm being honest. But if we count the meta just being these 4 guys, I think Omega is the one on top. In an open format where you can find, I don't know, a Giblet, a Goma, a Goku Black, maybe Cell is here. Because Cell, as a deck, has a lot of cards that kind of gatekeep a lot of the decks that are more rogue, like Self-Destruct, pay 1, pop a 30k, draw 1. It's an insane tool for any deck to have. Like, that card alone kind of destroys Goku Black because they just want their game plan to loop around the 6th drop and stuff like that. They can also get rid of a Goma board really easily because it's a red deck. So yeah, I think in a big open format wherever you expect anything, the Cell is probably better. But if you're expecting this 4 in a very competitive format, Omega should be the one on top. Cell is decent into Piccolo. I think it's favored into Majin Buu, although the new strat that Majin Buu has developed, that you hard starve Cell, can give him a lot of problems. But Cell players also started to adapt to it, and if they are running Hit, the red SR, or they are running that SR that we all discarded a long time ago. I forgot the stats on it. Good thing we have the database. Yes, this guy, just hard counters the strat of stalling cell because you probably want to have like a crit boo and a 4 cost boo, if possible, both 4 costs, both with Babidi Barrier. This just gets over it really easily. You just play this, play a Cell Junior, -5, something, Pop Cell Junior, now they are -25, you got rid of crit boo, and then you do another shenanigan. You have a lot of ways to minus. You can play 2 searchers. You can play another 16, minus again. You have a lot of ways to dealing with the board if you're running this card. That's why I'm saying that the strat of stalling cell, not hitting it, as Majin Buu is really strong unless they are teched against it or if they have played against it. So yeah, I think Cell has a good matchup into Piccolo, into Buu. The only problem is that Omega feels like a hard counter to Cell. If Omega knows what they are doing, Cell needs to see all of the pieces to be able to compete in an equal way. And Omega does too. Also, to be fair, he also has to see them. Cell can still win, but I think the matchup is on the Omega favor. Most probably this is 55-45, 55-45, this 60-40. I think Omega has the advantage. But that's the good thing about this meta. If it wasn't like that, probably Cell will be running the game. Piccolo, I feel like has a more than decent enough matchup against Boo, unless they know how to play Boo really aggro, hyper aggro. You are probably going to have a little bit of problems, but if you see all your ramp and they don't abso turbo high roll you, you shouldn't have many problems as Piccolo. Just being able to redirect the double strike from Buu to Piccolo to any character. That's strong enough to kind of disrupt Buu. But if they can aggro you really early and they have like 2 Mookie Boos for the turn 6 play and do 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, you're probably dead. So the ability, the skill of the leader probably counters Majin Buu really hard, but Majin Buu has options against it. It's not like the end of the world. So still, 55-45 maybe. Piccolo versus Cell. Piccolo has a really decent matchup into Cell. I will say it's 50-50. Uh, Piccolo against Cell, he has 2 ways of going around that matchup. You can either stall Cell, which is decent enough. I wouldn't say it's like your preferred strat, but if you see your ramp, you just do your normal game plan and you give Cell a lot of trouble. So I would say that it's 50-50. As Cell, you don't have many problems against Piccolo. It's like a 50-50 matchup. But if you happen to find your 1 cost chain, which people are playing now, this matchup becomes significantly more easier for you. Piccolo versus Omega, as I mentioned before, this is like the one matchup in this meta where it feels like it's really really favored into one of the decks, which is Piccolo. Piccolo just kind of murders Omega, if I'm being honest. If you are on 2 cost 18 and you just do 2 cost, 2 cost, 2 cost, 2 cost, it's really hard for Omega to keep up. They can still aggro you. You can still break. You can still not find it 18. It's not a target. So it's not the end of the world. But still, I think Piccolo has the upper hand here. Boo. The reason why I put Boo here, it's because I feel like your game plan, it's kind of being countered by all of these decks by design. Like they can just redirect your double strike, they will win you in combo power, and while on your board, they will stun your board, bottom decking it, outdrawing you. Their cards are they do not have combo like yours, but they have spin, and spin is really annoying. So I feel like Majin Buu is not as annoying as before. Like the deck is still insane, but these guys have the tools to not be annoyed by your Majin Buu. Like Majin Buu is by design a really annoying deck, but these three guys really can just deal with Majin Buu while not being that annoyed by it. But to be fair, I think Majin Buu is still S tier. I just wanted to have him for a bit, maybe because of clickbait. But we really want to. I really wanted to show that Majin Buu basically won every regional in last set. Even ours, I won Latam regionals with Majin Buu. I know how strong the deck is. But in my opinion, all of these decks can deal with Majin Buu shenanigans, and you have to change your game plan. You have to do really weird plays. You have to play your Mookie Buu early, the 30k buff Buu, and leave it standing. So that way Omega can't deal with it as easily, and if they bounce it back to hand, you're winning. You already swung once, made them waste one weird win spin. But you're making those weird plays because of these decks. You can also starve sell. Maybe you will have it. You will have to starve because your hand just is kind of sucks. You will have to become a hyper aggro deck against Piccolo. And even if you do that, if they find everything that they need, you maybe not come out on top. You maybe lose even if you did everything right. Because Piccolo just found everything and it's a ramp deck. When a ramp deck high rolls and finds everything, it's really hard to stop him. So I really do think Boo is the weakest of the top four. Some people might call it like a German friend that I have. Let me call it a fake deck, but I still think it's S tier because Majin Buu just by existing kind of destroys decks like Vegeta, maybe Goku Black. Just stunning their board for this to tap all of their energies, it's really bad. So let's go with the other decks that are not the top four. Bulma. Bulma really, really became much better. Like Bulma in early testing for manga set, it was showing some promise. The only problem is that they had a really rough time finding their pieces sometimes, and their hand size wasn't the best. But that was really helped out by this. This is a searcher that is a self-awakener and a 10k, and it searches for everything that you want to search, except for Bulma herself, like the double striker. This whips on it. This it's insane support for Bulma. They really needed a self-awakener like this, and this makes up for the two jobs that the deck needed. More ways of finding your good cards. So you have now Baba and Bulma and a self-awakener, and this does both while being a 10k. Amazing card. But it's not only this that Bulma got. It's also this basically made up card. Like this card in any other deck will break it so bad because it's a one cost 25k swing that draws. This is power creep, basically. This is as obvious as it gets. If it if it didn't have the condition for being a Bulma leader, and it will be very rough for us. But yeah, this it makes sense for Bulma because Bulma is not generating hand advantage from her own. She's not drawing, she's cycling one with her leader effect. You can draw with Roshi, but you're not building a big hand in general. So this really helps the deck and solves in quotations the problem of them being out of steam. So I really think Bulma is the best black deck by a mile. I think Shenron, it's a casino deck, it's really good. I wouldn't say it's consistent enough to be considered competitive, but it gets really rough. Like sometimes you will play a Shenron, they will get the seven spheres. On turn three, they will play a Gogeta or a five cost Goku, and you will just have to deal with it. Maybe they high rolled you and you can't deal with it and you just lost. But that's the nature of a casino deck. Of course, if you're playing Cell, just one cost self-destruct, pop, and the problem is solved for you. Yeah, they basically did all that job for nothing. Yeah, that's how things are, sadly. But yeah, Shenron, it's decent enough, but So, the other decks, Majin Buu Evil. This is basically A deck that also wants to kill on turn 5/6 as Wilma. Uh, they have this is weird because this can be played with the same base as Kid Buu, but it has vastly different matchups from their skill. Like I feel Buu has a way easier matchup into Piccolo, and it has a really decent matchup against Omega. I think this is probably better for Super Buu than for Kid Buu, but it has a worse cell matchup because you won't be able to freeze their chains. You have to be really aggressive. If you can do it, if you manage to make it, good for you. I know YS, the Japanese streamer, has been getting a lot of wins with uh, Super Bowl. So if you can make it, you can make it. Like I don't think the deck is bad at all, but I don't think it's as consistent as Kid Buu. But if you can make it consistent, he's really good. Okay, Broly. Broly, it's in a weird spot. There's a ramp deck now in the meta, so points for Broly. He really hard counters those. Uh, but the problem is that Buu is still in the meta. You with Broly kind of win against Omega. They have practically no way of beating your. Omega doesn't have removal for high costs, so they kind of have to just look at your Broly. But Broly still has the same problem as always. Broly going first versus Broly going second, it's two completely different decks. Broly going first, it's like here. Broly going second is here. Like the one turn difference and the one energy difference that makes for the leader skill, it's complete insanity. So yeah, Broly can just put the 8 cost Broly on board, make it really hard for Cell to deal with. They can just put the ST Broly and Piccolo just dies for that turn. It also kind of fumbles Omega, but Omega can do things to make hard, make life hard for Broly, and Kid Buu is just horrendously bad matchup for Broly. Giblet, I think it's still present. I think it's decent as the previous meta. Giblet, it's okay. He's just okay. He can double with these leads. He doesn't have as good matchups as these guys have against each other, so he is fine. He's Giblet. We all know that the aggro deck. Goma got some insane support. Goma, Goma. Mr. Goma, let me just search for it, got a really interesting SR. Half of this set is Goma support, which is funny. I mean, not half, but a lot of a bunch of cards are Goma support. This guy, this kinda solves a lot of problems that the deck had. Kinda. It just makes for an insane turn 5. And Goma already had really good aggro. This just makes your aggro better. And Goma actually feels like a real deck now. This also helps a bit. I've seen some people running this. It's not as strong as DSR in terms of support, but it's support. I think Goma has a space in the meta right now. Like you have to be aware that this deck exists. I think this deck really counters Piccolo and Omega maybe. I think the Omega matchup is kind of weird because you have to rely on burst attacks and stuff while not pressing the advantage. If you don't find your peaks, it's going to be really hard to deal with Goma, and Goma is really fast. Like if you don't deal with the first two turns, he gets to spam the board super quickly. Like Goma, he did that before, but now he has draw. And yeah, I think Goma became a much better deck with the small support that he got. I think he is a threat to the meta. And it's just really funny because Goma is a funny character and he just has like, okay, let's fight Piccolo, and Piccolo just cries if you see the Goma leader. because you can't deal with the early weenies and they start to stack up. Then the field turns into weenies and they draw and they stun and they self-awaken him. No, it's a mess. When once Goma gets running, it's really hard to stop it. And Pigoro has really few ways of stopping Goma. And everything swings for 25k, so you can't even play the double Gomas and feel safe behind them. Goku Black. Goku Black, it's on a weak spot right now. Goku Black with the new meal package from Omega and the new promo, I think the deck can maybe be on tier A. I mean, we will rename this from regional winners, uh, maybe toppers, rogue. Like, let's put it like this. I don't think there's a lot of there's not that much of a disparity in the power level of the decks as before. Just maybe Cell is just a bit obnoxious, but it doesn't feel like, for example, Bulma has no way of beating Piccolo, for example. If anything, Bulma should be winning against Piccolo. It doesn't feel like Bulma can't win against Buu, but Buu has to be aware of how Bulma functions to be able to beat it. It's not like before that you just kinda beat decks because your decks were better in every way. I feel like these decks can still do surprises against these guys. Just these guys are the most consistent against each other and in the meta. So, Goku Black with the meal package and the new one cost drop becomes a really decent deck. It has a really high skill ceiling, which is funny because it's a combo deck. In set one, it was a combo deck. You either got it or you didn't get it. Now it has become a deck with a high skill ceiling. You have to be aware of your meals. You have to be aware of where to leave energy open because they are running now the package, which you see for defending yourself. Like, when can I play my Goku Black, not die in the clapback? When I have to just stay still and play my defensive extras? It actually requires some finesse, which is really, really, really interesting. Like this meta for me myself as a competitive player, I think it's really nice because the four decks at the top require a lot of skill to pilot in the highest level. Like maybe the floor, for example, for Boo is really low, but once you find someone that knows how to play the mirror, for example, knows how to play with Cell against Boo, you have to think a lot more than you would expect from this deck. So yeah, I really like that the skill you can show your skill in this meta because you can choose your favor of the meta and still have an opportunity against anyone else. So really like it. And yeah, just what I was saying, Gogulak really good. They are now running the package of Shadow Dragons because some people realized Shadow Dragons are not leader locked, like the Whirlwind Spin, the Naturon, which is the peak, and the Forecast that Mills, I forgot his name. They are not leader locked, so you just run them here. It's funny stuff. Vegeta, I don't like Vegeta. Some people say it has a really good matchup against Cell. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I played Cell myself. I think it's the deck I played the most in this meta from the small percentage of games that I have. I haven't played this meta as much as others, but I played my share of it, so I know everything. I talk with a lot of people also that are active in the community. A certain German friend, a certain friend from Italy that will be really mad when he sees that I didn't put Ace Cell as the best deck in the game. And yeah, I don't think. I think Vegeta just winning against Cell is copium. And anyways, the meta doesn't look like this anymore, you know. So now it doesn't really matter if you can win against one of these really hard because you have to kind of win against the four of them to be able to compete, which they do against each other really well, which is the thing I'm trying to focus because it's really good. Like it's really good that we have a meta where you don't just play two decks or three decks and one deck just straight up beats the other and you can't do anything and the other deck is gatekeeping anything else. Like at the moment, this is probably the best meta we've ever had. And to finalize the video, I think Golden Frieza is also cope slash rogue. I think Golden Fist is more cope than rogue. These two guys can still make your life hard. Uh, Golden Frieza feels like it's missing something that really breaks the deck. Because Golden Frieza, we're in yellow, so thanks. Golden Frieza has some cards that are really strong, like Metal Cooler. It's for a 4 cost that you kind of just cheat out. It's very good. I find it really good. The same goes for I can't say the same about the 5 drop Frieza. He's just really annoying. He can freeze an energy, so it's really annoying. But they got some decent payoffs. Nothing broken, which is like the small problem that Frieza has. They don't have any card that just says can't be removed. They don't have any cards that just straight up destroy other game plans. They just have a slight annoyance, like freezing energy and freezing characters. So yeah, I think all the Frieza is pushed out. Every other deck here, I think there's some of them that can compete in a decent way. Vegito got a real combo now. Everything has been coming into pieces. Now with the new 3 cost Vegito, you can get 6 cost Vegito or 5 cost, depending on your board state. You can get with this card, if he can survive one turn, you can do a combo where you just play really early the 6 drop or the 5 drop while milling yourself. So it's kind of cute. I think it has some decent power level. I don't think it's enough, but I still wanted to put him on rogue because he still got something. Um, yeah, he Bardock still got something. I don't think it's enough. 18 also got the promos from the tournament, but I think if you want to play red androids, you just play Cell. 40k from Leader Swing is just that strong. So yeah, I just wanted to show people my opinions on this meta. I really think it's the best meta we've had in a long while. Thank you for watching. I will leave my links on the description. I'll be preparing a lot for Nat's next set. Yeah, I think we are 3 days away from the possible full set dump. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this meta. If you agree that this is the best meta we've ever had. If you don't and you think I'm dumb, also tell me in the comments. Thank you so much for watching and have a nice one.